Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Hiya Toys Injustice 2 Harley Quinn figure. And just like most of the Hiya toys, it is a very small figure. They are 3 3/4 scale, roughly. I say roughly because some of their figures have been a little big, but they pack a whole lot of detail into these very small figures, so it's kind of interesting to review these even though I don't collect them. I know a lot of you guys do like the smaller scale, so I'm happy to review them. And so here we are. So let's go ahead and get this off the stand and take a closer look. Alright, this figure stands just about 3 3/4 inches, which makes her just about 9.5 centimeters. That seems like it's close to the proper 1/18 scale, maybe a little big, because I think that puts her at about 6 feet. I didn't do the math and I don't collect this line, so I don't have it off the top of my head. But regardless, it's still a really well detailed figure. And just in case it's not clear how small this is, for those of you that maybe aren't familiar, here is your standard DC superheroes Batman. This is a 1/12 scale figure. She comes up to his belt. She's very tiny. If you do it like this, you could easily confuse the two for being the same scale because they packed in so many details. But she's very tiny. Very tiny indeed. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the aesthetic. The face is definitely kind of cartoonish. That seems to be the one thing that he is having a little bit of trouble with. Now with Harley, you can kind of get away with it more, but for the human faces, they are kind of soft sculpts with kind of soft paint jobs. Now it is lined up well, like everything's well placed on the figure, it's clean. It's just somewhat cartoonish, and like I said, that's probably excusable for Harley, so it's not a huge deal here, but I said dill, like a pickle. It's not a huge pickle, but it is something worth noting. It's not the most realistic look. They did have some shading in the hair. It's okay. Paintwork on the jacket's pretty clean. You see the red and the black. Same thing for her vest thingy. Very nicely detailed. Pretty well done. I mean, it's as clean as anything is as far as this kind of paint job goes, so I'm very pleased with it. Same thing, they painted the buckles on the straps and things. Very nicely done. Her little diamond pattern for her pants. Her boots again. Very nicely detailed. So the aesthetic on this figure, it's pretty impressive for the scale especially, and it's pretty good. So I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. An 8.5. The face I think could be a lot more realistic, because I know that's what the Injustice designs are generally speaking, but it still looks really good. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into the accessories. We do have some interchangeable hands. We have the 2 pistol holding hands that come on her in the package. Then we get 2 gripping hands. We have her 2 red and black pistols, which are nicely detailed. There's red, black, and silver on there, so that's good. We do get a little knife. We get a baseball bat, and we get a hammer, and that's all of her proper accessories. And then lastly, we have this kind of weird purple display stand, which is weird looking, but it does have 1 peg and 2 little clippy things to hold it to other display stands from the same line. So a decent array of accessories, I'd say. I'm going to give it a 8 out of 10. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Hands, guns, bats, hammers, all kinds of stuff. So that's a pretty good spread. I think that's all right. And now it's time to talk about the articulation. Well, we have a ball peg for the top of the neck and to the head, and it works well enough. The hair does not move, or at least if it does, mine's stuck. But she can still move her head around well enough. She's not going to be looking down or up very far, but it moves. It's okay. You can get a little attitude in there, which is good, so that's fine. Shoulders are a swivel hinge. They don't want to go up any farther than that, though, so that's kind of limited. Full rotation, of course. The jacket is a soft material, so it won't get in the way. It just flexes. Elbows are another swivel hinge. And the elbow pads and knee pads, by the way, are both completely separate pieces, or all 4 separate pieces, so they'll just move around and hide the joints if you want them to. But we get just better than 90 degrees out of that elbow joint, and it does rotate for your bicep swivel there. And then for the wrist, it's just a little tiny ball peg. Be careful. Make sure that that's not stuck before you start doing anything with it, because you could twist that off. These figures are almost completely PVC, and it's very soft and easy to tear at this scale. Jacket is again very soft, so it won't get in the way of any posing. You do get a decent diaphragm joint, surprisingly good on a figure this size. They did a really nice job with that. Full rotation, leaning around, it's pretty good. I think you'll be able to pose this pretty much however you want. The lower torso has a ball peg in it. It doesn't really seem to want to lean very much though. It does do a little bit, not much, and it doesn't rotate much either. Now the hips, they're ball pegs, but the sculpt doesn't let the hips actually move properly within the socket. So I can't really get them to do anything. And part of it is the ball peg not moving freely, and then part of it is the sculpt. So you get some range, but you also can't bring them back. You cannot make her legs go straight. I don't know what's going on there other than it's just the sculpt doesn't let them go straight. So that's definitely a problem. If you want to put her in a dynamic pose, it's not going to be a big deal. But if you want her to just be standing straight, her legs stick forward all the time. That's definitely a bummer. It's worth mentioning her holsters are connected at the belt and at the thigh, and they are functional. They are nice holsters, so that's pretty cool, but being connected at both places, it would have been a problem if the hips were more functional, but they're not, so it doesn't really matter. Double jointed knee, works nicely, again, floating knee pad. And then for the ankle, we have our standard hinge, and then an ankle rocker, but it's at a pretty steep angle, so it's not going to be great. So ultimately, it looks really good. The articulation's only so-so. The hips are problematic for sure. The rest is okay, so I'll give it a 7. But the hips are not good. The fact that their legs are always forward is definitely a problem. You could even give it a 6 probably and get away with it. So it's a really nice looking figure for the most part. Definitely a few drawbacks, but all in all, it's not bad for the price and for the size. So I'm going to give it a final verdict of 7 out of 10. I really don't like the hip situation, but it does look mostly pretty good and has a decent batch of accessories. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have new videos up just about every single day, and I've got thousands of videos already on the channel for you to watch. So make sure you come back for that, and in the meantime, keep collecting.